Hello, everyone. Happy lunchtime live. I'm Lauren Conlin. Welcome to my channel, Pop Crime TV. You guys know who I have here, Jack Fox. What is up, my friend?
Lauren, it is just a pleasure to be on the same show as Jeff from 98 Degrees. I can't believe the esteemed company I'm following.
I was just telling Jack that I think I've played that clip of Jeff singing I do like over and over, and I still shake like a schoolgirl. I was literally one of those girls that was like, why won't they marry me? I know that I'm 12 and they're
Well,
old,
there's a
but
reason, yeah.
But good times. Is everything good? It's evening for you, so you've had dinner.
It's
Everything.
it's 5:30 p.m. It's raining now. It's a pure English summer here. So yes, it's all good.
Yeah, it's raining in New York as well. Hello, Dizzy. I want to pin my member comments. Hello, Sue.
Hey, Sue.
It's so good to see. Oh, Gretchen. Gretchen has been amazing. Gretchen has been all over Sarah Boone, and Gretchen has been doing some research for me for the Outlier podcast. So she helped with the last episode, which was, yeah, it was a doozy. And guys, I also have a little treat for after. I have some commentary about George, some of the injuries he sustained that were in the autopsy report. I had Dr. Kendall Crowns. He's a medical examiner out of Texas. He's always on Nancy Grace. I had him make some comments on that and how George got some of these crazy injuries. I mean,
right.
Like, the laceration, it's really sad. So, all right, without further ado, I think we should just get to Miss Sarah Boone, who filed more handwritten motions today. So, I mean, the assessment, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're analyzing, her statements. I mean, I'm just looking at her as a human being, and she got issues. Girlfriend got issues. Okay.
Yeah. I would, you've a couple of times said to me, what do you think of Sarah Boone's letters? And I've looked at them. Number one, they're so blooming long. I'm like, no, this would be exhausting to look at. But I've also found it, when I just looked at those letters, really hard to get a handle on it. And like you, I'm not a doctor, but there are some, I believe, mental issues going there. And I think some of that, I can't diagnose, but some of what's going on with her comes out in the words. And what I chose to look at was the body cam of when the police arrived after she called 911, and also the police interview more than anything else, and just more around the question of when they ask her what happened, because ultimately these legal filings and everything like that are kind of hot air compared to what happened to the guy.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel super guilty because I feel like I don't pay enough attention to George Jorge. Like I said, I've heard it pronounced both ways. I feel bad. I mean, I think about what she did, and I just want to put it out there. Like, she flipped the suitcase over. I mean, what? How do you even do, like, she also, I'm speculating, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but if they did I don't think they did this, but like a drug test on her after, because one bottle of wine, that's 2 glasses per person.
Oh, we'll come to that. We will come to that. I just say I've got 9 pages worth of transcript from what we're going to look at. His name does not come up once out of her mouth. So if you feel guilty for neglecting the victim here, you're not the only person. And this is all about Sarah Boone. You look at everything that she's filed. I've got the flyer here if we've got time to look at that. Yes. The victim has been completely forgotten because someone has sucked all the attention. And if we look at the flyer, I think you'll see why that is.
That's a great point, because I do feel like, my sister, for example, she's not super, oh, sorry, it's my phone. She's not super into, crime, and she doesn't follow every single case, but she had no idea that his name was George Torres. She just had no clue. She's like, Sarah Boone, Sarah Boone, Sarah Boone. So that's, that's an issue, but that's for another day. But let's get to, I'll play a short clip. We'll start with the body cam. I have it queued up. You told me to go. We'll play a few from minute 3.
Yeah.
55, I believe it is.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to pull this up right now. And again, you guys know that if I do end up getting, if I get kicked off, you know, Jack knows how to hold it all down, right? I
I've
mean,
got 9 pages, 9 pages.
yes, exactly. Exactly. He's good. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. Sorry. La. And I won't sing anymore.
Yeah, neither will I. I am no Jeff from 98 Degrees.
Okay, here we go. It's let's see, 3:55 is the timestamp that we'll start with, you guys.
I just got here, so fill me in. No problem. Like, me and I were putting a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys.
In fact, tell me when to stop.
The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep
When did you do CPR?
this morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes,
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him and I took him out and I tried doing CPR and then I called him and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before
That's
the
probably a good place to stop it.
Okay,
Your
that's
husband?
good.
Your ex-husband?
Ooh,
Okay.
boy.
Where does he live at?
Okay.
Well, wow. Look, the reason I chose that is
Smell
that
too.
the police officer, who, by the way, you catch her face sometimes in the body cam, she's got great skin. But she starts with fill me in, right? Great open-ended question that is going to reveal a lot if you know how to analyze there. So you might just think, if you say fill me in, you're going to get events that happened. But if you know what to look for, you can learn a lot more. So when she says fill me in, Sarah Boone's first words are no problem. Well, someone's dead in the house. There is no problem with saying what happened. Come on, you know, so this is that superiority thing that we've seen come from her,
Yes.
that superiority complex. Oh,
Right.
no problem, little lady. I will fill you in. And then she starts talking about the events of the night before. Now, this is extraneous detail, right? What is important here is where he was, how he died. But she starts talking about, he and I were doing a puzzle together. We've been doing some art right here.
Right.
Then she goes on to say, we've been doing art, trying to take stuff off the wall to make new art there. We were having a good time with each other. So she started way back in the story. So imagine you have a car accident and someone says, what happened? Do you go, I was driving along the road and this guy pulled out right into the side of me? Or do you go, I decided to go shopping. I was going to go and buy my shoes and then I was maybe going to get something for tea tonight. So I was going down this road here. That was the reason why I was doing it. And as I was doing that, someone drove out. You start at the what happened. Someone drove out.
Off, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And they crashed into me. That's, yeah, right.
So why does someone do that? Why does someone start way back? Two reasons are, number one, they're going to tell a lie or they're going to be deceptive. And so they're going to do the really easy, non-stressful stuff of talking about everything when everything was fine, because that's really easy to talk about, delaying the stress of having to tell the deceptive part of the story. The other alternative, and I think this is what happened in this case, is that actually the events that led to his death started earlier on that night, that there was probably some fighting going on or a heated argument or something like that. And
Yes.
that's the build up to the death. Whatever it is, when someone says fill me in and someone starts from miles before the actual event, there's some deception or storytelling going on. And that's what we get there.
Jack, do you think that it's also, she's trying to figure out what she's going to make up next? I was thinking about that too. Oh, let me go through the story that I know that's easy to say so I can make up or have time to think.
Yeah. Look, I always say lying is ridiculously hard. It's really hard work. It takes up a lot of energy. You use more brain power. You burn more calories when you lie. So it's ridiculously hard work. You have to constantly deconflict what the lie that you're telling, but check that it's going to fit the facts that are known. You know, for example, she can't say he died falling down the stairs because she knows his body's in a suitcase. So she's, whatever lie she tells is going to have to end up at that fact there. So as much as we think, oh, well, I'm a brilliant liar, or lying's really easy, I'll say we were playing hide and seek and he got in the suitcase and that's how he died. It then gets ridiculously hard. As soon as someone asks you a question that you haven't quite thought of the answer to, you need to like then start thinking and deconflicting that with the facts that are known. So that is very potentially what's happening here. And while you're doing that, while you're answering, fill me in. It's just a great question. Then you're free forming it. So you're just going to start saying things you're comfortable saying, which will be the truth leaking out. Now she says, we were having a good time with one another. Why tell us that, right? Why tell us that? If, for example, he'd fallen to his death down the stairs, would you say, we were having a good time? He went to the toilet, came back downstairs and fell. You know, like you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like what? Right.
The fact she needs to tell us we were having a good time and she started events earlier. I think there was some argument or even physical fight going on that led to this. And then she says, but we've been drinking. Now it's the but before that. Now, all the way through, she tries to minimize the amount. It was this one bottle of wine, but it's the but. You know, so we've been having a good time with each other, but we've been drinking. Now, what's the logical end of that is, you know, someone is a bad drunk. You know, we were having a great time, but he'd been drinking. And then you know what it's like when he's drinking, he kicks off, et cetera, et cetera. But we'd been drinking. Now, she minimizes a lot what the amount of drinking, but she mentions drinking a lot. So I think alcohol, more than one bottle of wine, was involved, and potentially other substances as well. She wants to take, away from some illicit drugs.
Right? Like police must have got, I mean, who knows if she took the trash out that morning, like, and dumped everything, but you're right. Who knows? And then I want to point out their domestic issue actually stemmed from when they were at a bar. That I believe that was back in 2018 or something. So drinking seems to take a role in their, arguing, but continue.
No, that's all right. And then she says, so then then it's like we decided to play hide and seek, right? So the at the start is a bit of an explainer. You know, this is a explanation as to why this is happening. So this happened. And then it's like we decided to play hide and seek. It's not we played hide and seek, which would be much more active, much more descriptive of what happened. It's we decided to play hide and seek. Well, decided doesn't mean that you actually played hide and seek. Right. And then you will see all the way through this, as she discusses this game of hide and seek, she does not describe hide and seek, right? We all know what hide and seek is as a game because we've played that game when we were kids and when we were parents. And what she describes ain't hide and seek. For example, the first description she gives of it is, so he gets in the suitcase. So that is her telling the story from the point of view of seeing him get in the suitcase. Yeah. So if they were playing a game of hide and seek, she'd hide her eyes, count to 12. Or 20, I don't know how long it would take to get in a suitcase. He would get in a suitcase, and her words, I think, would be slightly different. So he hid in the suitcase, or I found him in the suitcase. But she's telling it from the point of view of someone that has seen him go in the suitcase. Well, that's not hide and seek. She doesn't say, I found him hiding there. It's he gets in the suitcase. Then they go into all this stuff around the very spurious ex-husband that has appeared and has been on the scene for quite a bit, which is really interesting. And to explain him, she says, I didn't know what to do. Now, what adult doesn't know that if someone is apparently dead in your living room, then you call 911 pronto? I didn't know what to do. Again, this is guilt leaking out. You know, this is, think about it. If you're responsible for the death of someone in a suitcase in your living room, wow, I don't know what to do, right? What do I do for the best?
Isn't that crazy?
Flee the country, get someone to help. If I find someone dead in my living room, I know what to do. I'm calling the emergency services pronto. So she says, I didn't know what to do. And then she says, the problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep. She's very good at repeating things, but actually that's very
Mm,
straightforward. That's not convoluted or unbelievable as everything else. So I
right,
think,
right.
reality is the problem is that she fell asleep. Now, that's the problem in her mind.
Yes,
So,
yes.
did she put him in the suitcase deliberately, abuse him, whatever, want to create him great harm, but not intend to kill him, just, give him the fright of his life or, revenge for something he's done or whatever it is. But she fell asleep. And she says, the problem is, I fell asleep. I fell asleep. And she repeats a few things that we look at quite a lot. And I fell asleep is one of them. And I
Mm.
believe she regrets falling asleep, that was not part
You
of
you
the
do
whole
believe
plan.
that she's genuine. Like I fell asleep. Whoops, look what happened. But not
Uh,
that I'm sorry he died, because again, she didn't say his name. She's not even crying.
yeah.
Can we just address that for a second? She's not even like, "Oh my God." Like, can you imagine? She's just like, oh, I fell asleep, like silly me, and now he's dead. It's
Yeah,
just so weird. It's so
it's
weird.
um, I have so many issues with it. She goes on to talk about when she woke up, um, because she says, I got out of bed at like 12:30 ish. And it's like I got out of bed is not I woke up, is
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
is. So I think that
Mm.
there is a huge in fact there's 12 hours worth of time there, because she says later on that she went to bed at 12:30, so there's 12 hours worth of that.
Awful.
Dizzy's just said she passed out from drinking, not fell asleep. I
Yeah.
kind of believe that. I don't think there is any, really, there is no remorse, regret expressed or anything like that.
Agreed.
But I don't,
Mhm.
so I'm not going to go really easy on her and say this is a horrible accident. I think she's entirely culpable for what happened. And so does she.
Yeah.
But I do believe that falling asleep and him suffocating to his death, or however he died within that suitcase, was not her intention. But was she responsible for it? Yeah, I completely believe that
Right.
because of the way she's telling the story.
It wasn't premeditated. She didn't intend to murder him that night. It wasn't some big plot. But yeah, I think when he's obviously in there, she's like, "Oh, this dynamic is cool. This power dynamic. Now I'm going to torture you." And I I believe, my opinion is that she knowingly fell asleep, and she maybe in her head was like, "Oh, I'll pass out for an hour and torture him a little bit." I think
Yeah,
that might have been what happened, and she maybe intended on waking up, but who knows?
yeah. It could have been all those things. I think the other thing to talk about is this. So I don't believe there was puzzles being done and art being done and a game
Yeah.
of hide and seek at all.
Mhm.
Um, it's extremely childish.
Yes.
Now, look, I have no issue. If you want to play hide and seek in your 40s, great, go for it. I think that's a great thing to do. You want to do art, you want to do puzzles. Those are all really good things to do. But I think in making up an excuse for what happened and making up a story, she's gone straight to childish games.
Yeah.
And I think that that was really bad there, pointing at the head to denote mental issues. Sorry. But the
No,
mental
I did
issues
that
that she
too.
is,
Yeah.
the mental issues that she suffers from, I believe, bring out a lot of childishness in her. I think she's
Mhm.
very, I don't know, arrested development or something like that. I think there's a lot of child inside Sarah Boone, which is why her initial reaction, the story I'm going to make up is I was playing childish games.
Totally. And we discussed this, or Gretchen and I discussed this, and we included it in the episode from The Outlier, that yeah, she's extremely immature, and experts have commented on this, doctors, and they've just said, yeah, this is very bizarre behavior. It's very childlike. It's just completely immature. And I agree with you. I don't think puzzles were done. I don't think art projects were happening. I think it was like, hey, it'd be funny if you got in this suitcase. Let me let me zip you up. That's what I
Well,
think. But
yeah, she's very big as well on resume statements, which are when you say something good about yourself, as if to say, look how good I am, therefore I could not have done bad. We see
Okay.
quite a lot of that in people. Sometimes, you know, that thing that comes out quite often, which is like, I go to church on a Sunday, I can't possibly be a murderer. But it's like, well, no, the two things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I was going to the opera, so I couldn't possibly have been, you know, chanting racist slogans at someone. You know, that sort of thing of, look what a
Wait,
great person I am.
I just thought of this. I not about murdering someone, but it's funny. I said some really bad words the other day, and my husband looked at me and I'm like, what? I'm like, I teach Sunday school. Because I teach my kids Sunday school, but that was my answer. And I was like,
Yep.
oh my God, now you're making me realize I said horrible, horrible bad words about whatever.
You-
And he's like, why?
You were doing a resume statement, and I think there's potentially an issue with that as well for her, which is that she's going, right, well, if I say we were drinking and we were doing drugs and, you know, it's going to sound really rough and bad. So what I'm going to say is we were doing a puzzle, because that's a very genteel activity, very intelligent activity. We were doing some arts to hang on the walls. You know, look at us, art lovers, you know, arty people. They're soft and gentle.
Yeah.
And then we thought we'd play hide and seek. You know, big kids are not going to murder anyone or kill anyone. So I think there was an element of that as well. And we'll see as we go through that there's a lot of resume statements in it, which sound really good, but don't. It's exactly the same as your Sunday school thing. I'm sorry to pick on you, but just because you teach Sunday school doesn't mean that you didn't say the wrong thing when you were being told off there.
I said the wrong thing. Absolutely. I'm just going to the next part, which you said was 12:30.
Yeah.
That I will play. I'm going to add it to the screen right now to play this, guys. So here is part 2 of Body Cam.
So you've had a second to kind of collect yourself. Tell it to me again. You guys were playing last night, drinking a bottle of wine,
Putting puzzles together, doing
doing
artwork.
puzzles, artwork. Okay.
Had a bottle of wine, and then decided to play hide and seek.
Mhm.
So he
What
gets,
time was that? Do you remember?
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like what, 12:30.
Okay.
Well, I went upstairs at least, and I fell asleep,
Okay.
forgetting that he was
so
in
you
the
guys were
suitcase.
playing the hide and go seek.
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So he thought it'd be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, you know, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right where it is.
Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought it would be funny, a little
It
joke.
was. We both were laughing about it. And
Okay.
then I fell asleep
Where did you fall asleep at?
upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay. And then you came back downstairs
This morning or this
around
afternoon, yes, when I got up.
ballpark, what time?
12:30-ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase. He can tell you
That'll
there's
do.
a lot of
I was awake. Okay, is
things
that good? Okay. Is that good, Jack? Okay. Yeah.
job.
Yeah, he did tell me.
Okay. Well,
So
yeah.
again, look, brilliant. I don't know if this police officer is doing it deliberately, but she's asking the same question twice, which just gives you a chance to see if it's consistent. Because as soon as you catch someone telling an inconsistent story, bang, you can dive in right there.
Totally.
So we've just got the same repeated things again. Doing puzzles and artwork, we spoke about that. I don't think it happened. I think that's a resume statement. We had a bottle of wine and decided to play hide and seek. She's asked, what time was that at? Do you remember? And she blusters a bit and goes, I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like, what, 12:30? A very vague timeline and not an answer to the question that she was asked, which was, what time did you play hide and seek?
Right.
Then she repeats again, I went upstairs and fell asleep, forgetting that he was down there. And then she's asked, at some point you put him in the suitcase. No, she shouts very stridently. He got in the suitcase. Now, I have her 911 call here.
Ooh.
Where she's asked what exactly happened. She said, my boyfriend and I were playing last night and I put him in a suitcase. So there we've got a discrepancy. In the 911 call.
That call. That's okay.
In the 911 call, I put him in a suitcase. By the time the police have arrived, you put him in a suitcase. No. So she's lying. She's lying at some point there.
gonna be definitely brought up in court. The 911
Yeah.
call. I put him in a suitcase. She'll talk like she'll say some weird Sarah Boone shit, talk herself out of that one, or she'll think she's out of it. But yeah.
Then we've got again this immaturity, which is like I'm going to joke with you. I'm going to make you squirm, make them squirm.
Yeah.
So again, we've just got this real childish quality to there. But then she repeats again, I fell asleep. I fell asleep. So like I said, I really believe that she fell asleep, not intentionally, look, recklessly, yeah, horribly, yeah.
Screamed it too. Her voice was like, sleep. I was like, oh, I was like, stop. We get it. Is that a thing that I mean, is that a lying thing? Like if you are, I don't know. I feel like I've yelled when I want the truth out, but I guess I'm trying to think about this. You know, is it?
It's so if someone's voice goes high pitched, that's tension because when we get tense, vocal cords are like muscles, they tighten up.
Yeah.
So that's when you will go higher pitched if you're lying.
Yeah.
But it just depends how it all comes out. I much prefer rather than tone to look at words because we all react to stress in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
Again, the interesting thing is all the way through talking about last night, or not all the way through, but I think about 98% of the time talking about the night before, she uses the joint pronoun we to describe what they did.
Yeah.
So that whatever was going on, I think there was unity there. Now, it might not be unity as in arms around each other and this is a great night. It may be we were both going at each other, or even in her mind, we were as bad as each other. But there isn't much sign of a diversion between the two of them that night. She does say at one point, he and I had been doing some puzzles, but apart from that, is we did this together. So there's an element of unity. The night before, it was she did not get in a suitcase or was not put in a suitcase. So, it diverted at that point. And you'll notice that when she is talking about the suitcase, it's separate. So she says, he got in a suitcase. He thought it would be funny to be in the suitcase. I was like, I'll zip you up, watch him squirm. I fell asleep. So there is that joint, that unity stops at the suitcase point.
Right at the suitcase. And I think about him inside it, and I've said this, but gosh, when he says, babe, Sarah, babe, I can't breathe, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's really trying. So whether they fought right before that or not, he was doing everything he could to get, be kind to her and give her affection and through the suitcase. And it's just like, my gosh, it's terrible.
I don't know the dynamics of how a woman would get a man in a suitcase. I don't know the relative builds or strengths or anything like that. So that's why do we have this sort of unity that kind of, I'm not saying he got in with permission or compliance, but do we have something that was together like that and then it was like wham bam zip up? That happened. It's certainly it's bizarre, what happened that night.
The most bizarre, literally the most bizarre. And really, just to think about his injuries from inside the suitcase as well, Jack. And again, I'll get to that later, but that poor guy, and also, I'm sure he had issues of his own. I'm not victim shaming, but to stay with a woman like her, you got to just be like, something in your life is very, I'm not shaming him, but God, why stay together? Maybe they love each other. I don't know. It doesn't appear to be that way from the outside in, my opinion.
No, the fact that she had to say earlier on, we were having a good night or whatever it is that she said, is an indication that having a good night needed to be pointed out. Do you know what I mean? So, there was a lot going on.
This night. There's no black eyes this night. I didn't pull his leg down the stairs, but continue.
No, that's just about everything I've got there. Just
Okay.
she is asked about does he have any medical conditions? Does he have to take any medication? And she
She
says,
doesn't know, right? Like she says, I don't know.
I don't know medical wise. Like, I know he doesn't take any medications whatsoever. The only thing, like I said, I don't know if alcohol has anything to do with it, but we've had a bottle of wine. So this alcohol, she keeps mentioning alcohol when it's not required, when it's not needed. So there was a lot of alcohol, or like I said, other drugs taken that night, I think that caused this. I mean, maybe even to the point where he passed out, and for a point, well, maybe he fell asleep, and that's how he got her, she got him, the suitcase.
I don't know. I have my doubts on that, but hey, I mean, you never know. But I want to get to the interrogation, and this is after, if people haven't followed all of this, this is after they have the video. They've seen the cell phone video. They've brought her in. They've said, you can get a lawyer, whatever, done all that, and this is where they ask her what happened. And Jack, tell me when to stop, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on like the back of his neck, like kind of like going, but it's like going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
They're all recent. Like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, like, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over the house too, so.
That's a good place to stop.
Was theirs when was he last there?
Oh gosh.
You got it.
Because I knew you probably were going to be like, in all honesty, but honestly, hold on, let me remove this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah. So she's asked, where did he get the scratch? And she says, I have no idea what that's from. So I will say this till I'm blue in the face. When someone says no idea, there's a good chance they're deceiving you, that they know, they have some idea. If my window smashed right now, I might say, I have no idea how that smashed, but actually something's come from outside in. So I do have an idea. So when we say, oh, I have no idea.
I'm writing that down. Oh my God. So I don't forget. I'm literally writing it down.
Do not forget, I have no idea. And then she says, I have no idea what that's from, not how he got that. So she's introducing the concept that that's the scratch is from something. So that suggests to me she knows where that scratch is. She knows that it's from something, and not just a happening there. And then, they're all recent. These happened leading right up to when this happened. And she says, in all honesty, when someone feels the need to tell you they are being honest, you got to ask why. Is it that they've been dishonest all the time? Everything else they've been said is dishonest, and now they are flagging up, this time I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Or is it, this is a lie? And I'm strengthening the honesty here so that you believe it. I'm going to tell you it's honest, so that I'm flagging up this is honest, so you really
thought of you when she kept
this.
saying that. I'm thinking of you being like, that's BS. Okay, cool.
She says, okay, that's why is the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about. So she has not answered the question. She's taken a left turn with the question, and she's gone on to literally that thing we were talking about before. When you've made up a story, you have answers and events ready. When someone asks you a question and you haven't really thought of the answer to that, you've got a couple of things you can do, which is fill. Okay, that's why the only thing I thought you were going to ask. And now she's going to answer a question she wasn't asked, but she's prepared to answer because she has the answer prepared for it. And so instead of talking about the scratch on his neck, she talks about the scratch marks on his back, and she flags again, I was going to be honest anyway, which she has now opened up and told us that she has decided heading into this interview what she was going to be honest about and what she's not going to be honest about. Now, she might have decided to be honest about everything, but what she said in her language here is she's had an internal conversation and decided what she's going to be honest about and what she's not going to be honest about. She's told us that in her words. So there's a high chance now with that line that she's going to be dishonest about things that follow. And then she just goes back to two of her favorites. I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Well, no idea isn't, don't know. And then she says, I had my son over to the house too. Resume statement. I'm a parent, you know, I have my son. How could I possibly have done anything bad if my son was there? Yeah, you know, what are you even thinking of? Why am I in a I'm a mother. Why am I in a police interrogation
suite? Great mother. Just ask her. And by the way, every day I'm like, I'm the worst mom. I yell at my kids all day. I'm the worst. Like I feel like maybe I should say I'm a good mom because I feel like I'm better than her. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So that's that is really what was in that bit that we looked at. There's some more. It's very much more of the same where she does this story about this lovely arty, crafty nights, drinking wine, smoking cigarettes. The smoking cigarettes comes into it when she talks about it in this interrogation room, which was never mentioned to the police officer on the body cam. Cigarettes was never mentioned there. So, you know, what is going on there? What kind of cigarettes were they? You know, is it one of those things where I ain't going to mention a bit of weed? When the police first come, when you're in the police interrogation, you're thinking, actually, I might as well mention this because I'm in a lot more trouble than you know, a very minor possession
and
charge.
Can we also touch upon the fact that she's like, oh, I know how he got that scratch. Like it was sex. Like that grossed me out with just thinking about her. And I don't know. I was just you like specifically did not talk about that, but we all had to hear it. So so I felt like I'd bring it up. I'm just pinning High Forest.
I did wonder if because of that sex part there, whether sex played some role on the night, not on this, but sexual games or sexual. It's lunchtime in America. I don't want to talk about these things at lunchtime.
But everyone's eating their soup and their sandwich, and we're talking about Sarah Boone having
Sarah Boone having sex. That's exactly a great way of saying it. I didn't pick up enough in the bits that I looked at to go, that's worth investigating, but it did make me wonder if there was something going on there because you know, she's describing there marks on his body that came from some sort of sexual adventure.
Good. Oh yeah, sorry, Sheila. You're putting her off on her food. That was my fault. You should blame me for that. I brought it up. I always bring that stuff up. Thank you, Forrest. You're the best. Sorry, that was so nice. Thank you so much, Forrest. You're amazing. All right. Can I go to the upstairs part of the interrogation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I've got that queued up.
And then you went upstairs and then he didn't come up and you came down and the suitcase was there originally because you guys were planning to do donations. So it was already there. Have you guys ever played you said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship? Mm-hmm. When you have played, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase prior?
No.
Okay. So it was just kind of like that prop was there and it was there and it was in play because.
Why do you say it like that though?
I would never do that.
You would never zip them up in a suitcase?
Well,
I mean, we were playing.
No, I know, but I'm saying, I'm talking about hide and seek, which is a game. So
the suitcase originally is in our closet, buried all the way to the back. So. I know the CSI people saw our closet. Our closet needs to be cleaned out really bad. My son's clothes need to be cleaned out really bad because they don't fit him anymore, and I'm tired of looking at them. So he took it upon himself, including that suitcase, to take it downstairs so we can get all of our clothes, our donations and everything, and just leave the whole thing by the clothing and shoe thing at my son's school.
Gotcha. No, I'm just asking in the past, like, have you ever zipped him up in anything, jokingly or not? But obviously I understand, you know, you're claiming that Sunday it was a joking matter. You were laughing, he was laughing. But what I'm just asking is in the past, like, is it something that you guys normally do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Whoa. I mean, sorry. I feel so bad. This poor guy should be alive. I hate hearing those little things where it's like, if I would have just done one thing differently that night, right? Maybe not pull this, if she's telling the truth, not pull the suitcase out of the closet. I'm like, I hate thinking like that, but I do.
Yeah. So she's asked, have you ever zipped him up playing hide and seek before? And her answer is one of the most extraordinary answers I've seen in statement analysis. The suitcase originally is in our closet, buried all the way to the back. The CSI people saw our closet. Our closet needs to be cleaned out really bad. My son's clothes need to be cleaned up really bad because they don't fit him anymore, and I'm tired of looking at him. So he took it upon himself, including that suitcase, to take it downstairs so we can get all of our clothes, our donations, and everything. Just leave the whole thing by the clothing and shoe thing at my son's school. So it goes from, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase before, to where the donation point is at her son's school. It's mass diversion, mass resume statement. Look at me, I'm giving stuff away to charity. It's probably all true because she's in her comfort zone. She's not talking about zipping the guy up inside the suitcase. She's talking about the fact that someday they decided that all these clothes would be put in a suitcase and given away to charity. By the way, don't forget, she is an exceptional person, as she tells us later on, an exceptional person who seems to have a problem holding on to clothes that are way too small for everyone, and her house needs cleaned up really bad. So it doesn't even match with things that she said, but it is just the most extraordinary answer, and also has tinges of victim blaming. So he took it upon himself to take the suitcase downstairs. Well, actually, I'm not sure if him is her son or the guy, but
I couldn't tell either.
It is, I mean, let's say, who's most likely in a household to get a suitcase out the back of the closet?
I was gonna say, it's George. But yeah, she, I mean, just not necessarily in those clips, but if you'll notice, I think it's more towards the beginning of the interrogation. She absolutely victim shames. It's honestly incredible how much she victim shames. I forget exactly what she says, but my God, this poor guy deserves so much better. Like, so much better.
So I pulled that bit out because it is just when someone is asked a question and you look at the end of their answer and just see how far they've walked from what they were asked to what they finish up saying, because what they want to do is talk about things they're comfortable with, move away from that discomfort. And she's really hoping that the next question is about, oh, you have a donation point at your son's school. That's unusual. Or, a question like that. Or,
what did you donate? Did he have Paw Patrol shirts? Did he have, like, she just wanted dumb questions like that. Absolutely.
Oh, children, don't they grow out of clothes so fast? And isn't it annoying that these things pile up? But isn't it great? That's what the effect she's looking to have. Ain't going to wash in a police interrogation.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. No, that was striking. That was absolutely striking. So let's get to the our favorite part, or Gretchen's favorite, the I excel, which is minute 31. Let me go right here. And I mean, Sarah Boone, I wish I had your confidence. I feel like I have never once said that I'm good at anything, like, ever. And maybe that's just on me and I have problems, but I'm just like, I wish I had what you have or what you think about yourself. So, okay, here we go.
The battery doesn't last very long.
It used to last a lot longer than that. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Let me just grab something.
All right. No, I was just simply asking because you had a look on your face when she asked you if you've ever done that before. You look kind of shocked and.
No.
Okay, but why did you say it like that? Like.
I don't think you all understand who I am.
Okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son. Okay. I excel at everything. I would not do that.
You wouldn't zip somebody in a suitcase?
Well, I didn't completely lock it. I mean, I opened it with one finger. I left enough in there for him to get out.
Okay.
And I wasn't planning on going upstairs and going to sleep.
Okay.
You did.
No, it was just the way you said it.
You guys
were
are
like,
scaring me.
why?
Right, that's enough.
Well, we just want you to watch this.
Oh,
It's
there's
from your
scaring
phone. Don't you want to know
I'm
what's
so
on it?
sorry
Yes.
that you're scared. My gosh, like what? Sorry.
That's all right.
She's beyond. I mean, I'm mad. She's making me mad at this point. Yeah.
Well, let's break it down, right?
Let's unpack this, please.
I don't think y'all understand who I am is another resume statement. She's trying to go, what were you guys doing? You know, like who I am.
God, yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you've never said how great you are at anything, right? I bet you did or came closest to it when you were a child. When we master the alphabet, they will go, look, I can do the alphabet and show off there. And I think we've just got this childishness again. I had to, and I've never had to do this before. She says, I've always been a straight A student. So I had to get on Google to find out how old she is because
yeah,
that's
right.
So childish. I've always been a straight A student is something you probably grow out of early mid-20s.
Years, honey. You old. I mean, sorry, I'm the same age, but whatever. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't talk about myself and my grades. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So again, I am an outstanding mother to my son. I excel at everything apart from getting the charity donations out, and so they just clog up the closet. So it's kind of a lie there as well. This is just look how good I am. And look, her brain is not wired the way that other people's brains are maybe wired, but instead of being able to come up with a plausible or realistic explanation as to why she didn't do this, why she is not culpable, why this is not her fault, why this is just an accident, a dreadful accident, she, instead of doing any of those things, is having to go to these childish resume statements and say what a great person that she is. She's asked, you wouldn't zip someone in a suitcase? And she doesn't say, no, I wouldn't. She said, I didn't completely lock it. Now, the word lock, now that's pretty damn, it's, so in her head, and it said, you didn't zip someone in a suitcase. She said, she could have said, I didn't zip it completely, but she said, I didn't completely lock it. So again, her head is in this space of the possibility of locking someone in a suitcase, never mind zipping them in a suitcase, but locking them. And we all know there's a difference there. And then she said, I opened it with one finger. So she's, to me, it's been completely zipped at some point. And then she's opened it and put a finger in to check that it's not completely zipped. But, what is that really going to do? I left enough in there, enough for what? Yeah. And then she says, for him to get out. Well, he didn't. So you obviously didn't leave enough there. And then she does the line again. I wasn't planning on going upstairs and going to sleep, which is an admission that she went upstairs and went to sleep. But yeah, it was just, it's the most famous part of that police interrogation. And when you actually look and go, why did she say that? Why did she say that? Because she has nothing else to say, that she has to go to this really weak, it sounds impressive, if it was delivered by someone else, it might be like, whoa, amazing. But it's got nothing to do with, did you deliberately put him in a suitcase and zip him inside the suitcase with an intent to cause him serious harm? It doesn't matter that you got an A in English, you got an A in geography, you got an A in history. What? That does not matter. It's not relevant.
No one cares. Literally. No one cares. Sorry, I just took a deep breath because I was imagining her also, like, how your suitcase can have the two zippers and one is at the top to make it expand a little bit. I'm just imagining that dumb whore, like, opening up a little bit where he's not even in that part. She's opening up the expanding part and she's like, oh, look, I gave I'm just picturing that in my head. But
it could be any of those things. The word lock in it just made me go, no, was in the things that are in her head are pretty damn grim.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean to name call. I know Dizzy's laughing at me. I shouldn't have said. I always do that on lives, and this is why, by the way, I was so resistant to lives because of the way I speak naturally. I'm always like, oh, let me edit that out. That wasn't very nice, Lauren. Let's not go there. And here we are. I'm going there. So okay, let's go to minute 38. Not drunk. Should we do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do. I'm gonna add this. Her slurring was amazing. I'm just going to put that out there. The slur was one of my favorite things to listen to. Okay.
It's like you guys are kind of trying to like feed me. Like,
No, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
well, I know what.
You know what's on that video now?
No.
You remember making that video?
Oh,
Why don't you remember making the video?
probably because we had been drinking.
But you weren't drunk.
Just because I went upstairs and just
You
because
told
you're
us-
drunk doesn't mean
told us
that you.
several times that you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you.
Mhm.
You said that you don't like not having your wits. In my experience, if somebody cannot remember doing something to the extent of making 2 videos and taking a photo, they are intoxicated.
Okay, I understand where you all are coming from.
Well,
I
we're
get
just
it.
trying to make sense of it. We're trying to
I get it.
figure out
We're
what
trying
you're
to
saying.
figure out this
You
video.
explain it to us. We're listening.
I just did, like, we were playing, and then, like, I thought it was, my plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to, he'll be up here any minute.
But
But
you
again-
willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get
My
ready
plan
for
wasn't
bed.
also to leave him in the suitcase,
So why didn't you take him out?
because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think he's asking to come out? he
I
can't
didn't do it
breathe.
intentionally.
What do you think is gonna happen if you leave somebody in a
Ooh.
confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not giving it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him.
That'll
in
do
the
that.
What was
suitcase.
your plan?
Sorry. Oh, that'll do it.
Waiting for
That'll
him
do
to
it.
come
Yeah.
upstairs.
Okay. Gosh. I am like that right there, and people can weigh in. I mean, I didn't do it intentionally. It was almost like leave me alone, and then that is what's going to be played in court by the prosecution, right there.
Yeah.
I didn't do it intentionally, and then yes, your
And-
plan. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I'll stop talking.
So that's all right. You got my plan, and she tells us several times, my plan was not, my plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. Then she says, my plan was not, he'll be upstairs here any minute. My plan was also not to leave him in the suitcase. So she tells us lots about what her plan was not, but like you caught, she's introduced the fact that she had a plan. So this wasn't hide and seek, gone wrong. This was not you jump yourself in the suitcase. I'm going to pretend, haha, you're stuck in a suitcase. I'm going to bed now. And then fell asleep, passed out drunk, and woke up the next morning. No, she's introduced us to the concept that she had a plan, maybe not devised a long time ahead of schedule. Maybe just when she saw this happening, she was like, I'll teach that guy something, or I'll scare the life out of him with this. He'll be crawling on his knees begging for forgiveness. Oh, but yeah, she tells us a lot. My plan was not to leave him. I didn't do it intentionally. Is again, she's telling us what she didn't do. Her focus is on all these things.
That was all an admission to me. I was like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is why I thought that, I mean, and the police, they were good. They were good at their job. I felt like they did a fantastic job. And although she is, you know, she does seem a bit easy to break, if you will, if that makes sense. She's not some hardened criminal that's going to, you know, sit there, obviously. But I did think they did a good job of finally getting this out of her. It wasn't my plan. It was unintentional.
Yeah.
But continue.
So no, that's it. That's what I have. There is some, again, element of the leakage. So I didn't do it intentionally is an admission that I did do it. If you take the ly word off, these are these are conditional qualifier type words, but if you take some, I had a really good time. Well, if you take really out of the sentences, I had a good time. So it's still the same thing. And if you take these ly words out of sentences, you don't change the meaning. You just change maybe sometimes the severity or the sense around it. So I didn't do it intentionally. I did it. It's got the I didn't do it intentionally. It's still got the do it in it. It's an admission that she did it.
Yep. That's so, I mean, that I cannot wait for her trial to actually see them play some of these really important parts in their, in the interrogation. I really think that this is going to, I don't know if that's, sorry, in my opinion, she's getting convicted and she's getting she's getting maximum sentence there. She is. I don't care.
Not if she gets her dream come true.
Well, she's not. So let's go to the letter because she's not getting that. But first of all, Gretchen, okay, this is Zara. It's not a ball gown. It's a sundress. Okay. I just want to put that out there. And also because I have the luxury of working from home. When I do videos, I think I must change my clothes 3 times a day. I did a Nancy Grace episode this morning. So I had like a button down, whatever. And then I did another video. And then now I'm in a sundress and that's how I will stay the rest of the day. So you all didn't need that, but I gave it to you. I'm going to pull up this letter to show you guys. Oops. Right here. Sarah Boone flyer. Sorry, not.
Yeah.
And then, and just to put it out there, Jack was trying to read through some of these letters and he's like, I can't even read her handwriting. So at this point, it's like.
So I've got enough going on in my life without trying to read one of Sarah Boone's letters.
Without trying to read through her. I mean, her handwriting's good. It's just, it was.
Well, listen.
That's words that
when we get that flyer up, I'm going to talk about that, which is very unusual for me because I don't do handwriting.
Oh wait, you're going to talk about her actual handwriting? I love that.
I've got some observations.
Love it. Okay, here we go. Is that being pulled up? Okay, you can kind of see that for the most part. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me see. Okay, is that better for most people? Okay. All right.
So things here, when I saw that, wow, I really appreciated the creativity in that. That is a very creative person there. Look at the work that's gone into that. I could not find one typo or anything that was wrong in it whatsoever. Everything is really, straight as shouldn't, really easy to read. Potentially quite childish, it looks like a flyer for a student gig or something like that's been put up. But I was like, wow. But then I just looked at what it actually says. So went back to examining the words rather than looking at how nicely designed it was. And the very first word that you see is inmate. Inmate seeks attorney. So she's led with herself. This is not attorney wanted. This is inmate seeks attorney. So this is this very selfish person that is self-obsessed. She has made this all about herself. The other big thing I noticed in it, which is just brilliant, there is this big list of qualities needed and qualifications must include, etc., etc. She hasn't asked for an attorney with any experience or expertise in dealing with her sort of case whatsoever. In fact, all you need to do is listen to Sarah. So that's why you must have client inclusion. You must be into collaboration. You must be into listening and understanding. So really, what you need to do is not any experience. You just need to listen to Sarah all the time. Interestingly, I highlighted, I don't know if you can see it on my one there, but in pink, you can see it there. The words prosperous, national television, show the world, epic opportunity awaits. She is enjoying the attention that she is getting here. I actually believe that this is more about who Sarah sees herself as rather than what she's looking for in an attorney. She is having her close up on national television. She wants to be prosperous from this.
Yep.
Hence why she probably wants her phone so she can start making some money. And it's an epic opportunity that's here. However, I think, again, we've got just leakage here that she knows she's guilty, because she doesn't ask for anyone to get her off. What you've got to do is have faith in the client. That big word down the bottom there, just it's not actually on your screen, but
Let me get it.
invest in the oppressed.
Oh,
Believe. Well, believe.
Mm.
So believe is there. So this is not about her. It's not. None of it says I am an innocent person. I'm being jacked up on charges that should never have been brought. There's a whole load of evidence that I need you to bring to the fore to prove my innocence. What you've actually got to do is think differently. Well, we've seen how she thinks differently. You got to have faith. You got to believe. There's nothing in there whatsoever that says I am an innocent person that desperately needs representation in order to prove my innocence to the world. It's what is missing in that flyer is as important as what is there.
I think that something that you brought up initially, and I always pay attention to this now because of what you've said, is the order of everything. You're so right. It's all about her. Inmate seeks attorney, not attorney wanted or whatever. And I forget what we were talking about, but it was something, or maybe it was something that Peter Hyatt did as well. You guys are both amazing, but it was something like, I'm so upset, I'm just destroyed over XYZ. I loved this person. And it was just like, what, you're talking about yourself first and not the victim. So
I had something like that today where I was going into a store that I'd actually been to already today. And I know the guy who was serving. And I was about to say, they work you hard, don't they? And I went, oh, wait a minute, that would make him sound like a slave. They work you hard. And I didn't want him to think he was a slave. I wanted to actually acknowledge how hard the guy works. So I caught myself and went, you work hard, don't you? And the response was very different, but just by putting a different pronoun first, it completely changed the sentiment, how it was taken, and so on. And that's inmate seeks attorney is me. It's all about me, Sarah Boone. She's loving this. I think, having gone through and looked at what's important to her and the way she works, I think the court stuff is very childish, tantruming. I'm not getting my way, but it's to drag this out and get everything that to make this last longer and to get more attention on her, to delay what I think she knows is the inevitable.
No, you're so right. That's so interesting. And I also feel like he probably appreciated it more that you said you work hard, not they work you so hard, because I don't know, my mind would just go to a place of like, well, I want to work and I'm doing this to support my family or whatever, not because they told me to, but you are so thoughtful. That's like so amazing.
It's honest. About that. If you want to reverse engineer the stuff I do here, it really works for making effective communication. And that's one of the great tips I think I would share is, if you're talking about anything, anyone, put yourself second and talk about them. So I like your shoes. You've got great shoes on, right? You're giving the ownership to the person who's got the shoes. So you're still saying, I like your shoes. Those shoes are great. But by putting the other person first, you're just saying to them, you're the really important person in all of this. And it will really hit.
Writing that down.
You really hit effective communication. I've stumbled on the word communication, so there you go. I'm not that effective at communication.
No, this is amazing. I really like writing everything down that you say. And just really quickly going back to her letter. So with Peter Hyatt, it was last summer, I took this course that he did with deception, and they had a handwriting expert. And it was like 6 hours, and it was just so fascinating. But something about handwriting, and Sarah Boone's is interesting, something that a lot of serial killers do, and a lot of very bad people do. They don't close their B's or their D's. They just kind of like scribble and they're like very open, I guess. And so there's something that I believe it was a D, I believe, but he referred to this as a maniac D. And it was something that Jeffrey Dahmer, he wrote like, and Ted Bundy, they both did maniac Ds. I did notice Sarah Boone, she absolutely closed all of her letters. And this could be because she was doing this like an art project. You know, I don't know. But she definitely seems to be one that thinks they're above the law, can do whatever they want, nothing applies to her. So I was a little surprised to see her writing just be so neat and just so tied up. But yeah.
No, I think it was her, and I don't know, but I noticed in some of the communications, the handwritten communications from her this week, that she was doing a lot of splitting words across lines. So, you know, she would be writing a paragraph, start on the next line, you know, like, so, and I don't know what that means. But I found that very interesting, that she seemed to be one of those people that continues. Oh, I've run out of space. I'll just continue the word on the next line. And I really don't know what that means. I'd love to hear an expert's view on why someone would do that.
I should get this guy because he analyzed, actually for me, something with Grant Solomon. He analyzed a written statement by the father, and it was super helpful, like super helpful. So I'll get all of that because, and I have it transcribed somewhere on my other computer. When I started doing these lives, I had to use my husband's computer because everything kept freezing. And oh my gosh, look at this. I mean, knock on wood, I haven't gotten kicked off or been totally frozen in over an hour. Aaron, you must be very proud.
I just had to check back on my notes to see if I closed my D's, and then realized there was a much better way of finding out whether I'm a serial killer or not, which was just checking in my brain to see if I'd killed lots of people, and I haven't. So I don't need to check my D's. I did close my D's. Yes, I've got
oh my gosh,
awful handwriting, but actually my D was closed.
And I think we've talked about this too, where I'll say to my kids, "Yo, you farted," and my daughter will be like, "Don't say that. Like that's so embarrassing." You know, and I said, "Just say you didn't fart. Say I didn't fart." And now they're like obsessed with saying, you know, with denial, but denying correctly in the proper way, the truthful way. So yeah, my whole family really wants to thank you at this point.
Well, you can go back with that tip I gave them. Make them all feel good about I gave you. Make them all feel good about their shoes, and you'll be golden for the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea. You wear those shoes well. You are wearing really great shoes. I love that. And just to close the loop on Sarah Boone, I mean, she did submit these handwritten motions. As of right now, she's not allowed a standby attorney. She still has to represent herself. Yeah, Pam says, whoever's not closing your D's, close your B's and your D's, okay? And look that up. I swear it's a thing.
I could believe it. I could believe it.
Right? There's just, so many crazy things. Pamela, you don't know what that, or Charlotte says you don't know what that means. We're talking about the handwriting, but yeah. Oh, sorry. They're all talking about when I left you on the screen many times when I was at my parents' house. You poor thing.
Happy days.
You're such a good sport. But all right, guys, thank you for joining this. Sorry. The last thing I did want to do, I dropped my phone. Sorry. The last thing I want to do is just read to you from Dr. Kendall Crowns, what he said about George's injuries from inside the suitcase, because I'll just read this to you from the autopsy report really quick. He said, or the autopsy report said, an autopsy report said that Torres had scratches on his back and neck and contusions on his shoulder, skull and forehead from blunt force trauma, as well as a cut near his already busted lip. Okay. So the contusion was pretty bad. Oh, and it also said he had like a black eye. So Dr. Kendall Crown said that the abrasions on his back are most likely from rubbing up against the zipper on the suitcase and trying to get out. And obviously, it's, we've seen the suitcase, it's very small. So the injuries could have been caused by his own hands as well, as he's trying to move around in there. So he goes on to say he probably had little room to move around. He was struggling, and he was most likely trying to break free for hours. So that would definitely cause bruises because he was in there for 12 hours. He asphyxiated over time. And then again, pushing with the arms and legs could cause the scratches. Now, what he says that I did not consider, he says, consider the fact that since she flipped the suitcase over, she could have been kicking or hitting the suitcase or just tormenting him. This is pure speculation. I don't know, but that could also cause the bruising around the eye as well as the laceration of his lip. So in conclusion, without knowing everything, he said the combination of him trying to get out and her possibly striking the suitcase would lead to the injury seen at autopsy. But he adds, and this is awful, like, I feel bad, slowly suffocating is a rough way to go. And the struggle to get out would definitely result in some of these injuries. But Dr. Crown said that he firmly believes that Sarah was kicking the suitcase and torturing him. So
if you look at the very first part of the police interview we looked at, she diverts when she's asked about his injuries, and that's when she starts using the "in all honesty, this is where I was going to be honest anyway." So that would not surprise me that she knows exactly where those injuries and scratch marks come from, and worse.
Yeah, that's awful. That's so awful. And it also goes back to, oh, wait, we are having sex and I scratched him. Like, save it. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Enjoy your lunch.
Yeah, enjoy your lunch. Lunch is over. I haven't eaten. I'm gonna have this one bar. If anyone has one bars, this is the worst flavor. I don't know why I got it, but I'm too hungry and I can't pick up after this. So, all right, now we're really ending. Thank you so much, Jack Fox. You're amazing.
Oh, it's been fun again.
I told Jack that we have to do Wade Wilson next. So I've transcribed some of those jailhouse phone calls and the interview from 2020. Mind blown. So hopefully we can get to that.
Yeah,
all right,
that'd be great.
Everybody go follow Jack as well at Never a Truer Word Videos. Never a Truer Word Videos. It is in the episode notes as well. So
can I do a really quick plug?
Please plug away.
I am doing my own live Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, looking at the 911 call that Ellen Greenberg's fiance made. That Ellen Greenberg horrible story where it was ruled that she did it herself. Not a chance that happened. Her fiance made a 911 call the day that it happened, and we're going to look at that and do comments and questions and so on live on Sunday. As something a bit different. And now that story's back out there, I thought we would dig into it.
That's going to be amazing. I'm just putting that in the chat right now. Okay. 3 p.m. on Sunday, Never a True Word Videos live, Ellen Greenberg 911 call. All right.
You got it.
Good. Yeah. I'm going to pin that. I'll pin that right now. So it's the last thing on the screen that we see. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And we will be in touch. Maybe I'll give you 2 weeks for Wade. You've got a lot going on.
Thank you.
Seriously. All right. And I'm going to go change my ball gown, Gretchen. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.